Welcome to the course Quality and Project Management. In our first lecture, Quality Management Explained, we will talk about the basic postulates of quality management system and highlight the connections between key concepts of the quality management and organizational strength. To continue with the lecture, first task is to explain what is the quality and why we need it. Quality management is the framework how we are perceiving our activities, steps, and tasks, which are needed to contribute to a deserved level of excellence. This includes all interconnections between separate processes. We can also say that quality management is the degree to which some entity like product or service or some process are satisfying the specific set of requirements. Quality management has four basic disciplines. First one is quality planning, then quality assurance, quality control, and quality improvement. All four disciplines are meant to be used together in order to satisfy the customer requirements and to reach the desired degree of customer satisfaction. Quality planning is the first step. You need to plan all activities in the way that you can measure the progress and to keep quality on the level of excellence. This is important because most of the standards like functional safety or cybersecurity are basically relying on the already established and strong quality management system. Then you need to keep assuring the quality through the life cycle and to control it constantly by measuring the defined measures, like, for example, key performance indicators or similar indicators. On the end, while you are controlling your process and measure, all the gaps will be shown, and next step will be to improve the cycle by using already collected knowledge. Why we need this cycle? Well, imagine that you are working on the project without any order in the steps while you're developing some software, or you do not have any developing criteria for what is good enough to be delivered to your customer. And also your colleagues are working on the separate software modules, which needs to be integrated in the system together with your module. Do you think if you do not have the same criteria and the same process for developing, you will be able to integrate them successfully? Well, I think not. But even if you integrate them, are you sure that your customer will be satisfied without having any evidence that you produced your software on the same way with the already defined criteria? To ensure that the product will be delivered to the customer as the customer requires, you will need quality management and quality criteria. Beside that, you will need quality management to repeat all the steps next time in the same way and to even by repeating the steps discover possible shortcuts which will save the time to deliver and make your customer more happy. The quality management, as it is developed back in the 1982, has the original goal to place the quality in the proper perspective to the development of the product, which is for sure include the software production. To establish the basic of such a perspective, we need to understand the quality definition and provide the foundation for the quality program. In order to do that, we need to introduce the new terms like entity, process, requirements, user, evaluation, measure, and quality itself. Entity is the object which needs to be controlled and maintained through the quality cycle. And this is basically the very rough definition of it. Process is definition of how the object will be maintained. Requirements are the input for the quality criteria. User is the one who will use the object. Evaluation will check if we are maintaining and developing an object as it is described in the process by using specific requirements. For that, we will check all the measurements. And this is bringing us to the next term, like organizational strength. Now imagine that you have several projects and that you need to build a unique brand and your own product which will be recognized in the market. For that, you will need to build organizational strength and to manage the organization. For managing the organization, you will need specific quality culture and three basic parts of the organizational triangle. People who are the reason why some organization exists, the process which are describe how work is done through the organization, and the system which is represented through the tools used to follow the process and to do the job. Without having these three basic angles of the triangle, you will not be able to establish any product or to maintain the serious production. You can see that we are talking a lot about processes and that there is a clear connection between quality and process management. This will be shown even more later in the lectures. The quality has three dimensions, and all of them are important equally. Dimension of the potential quality is oriented to organization and it is influencing representation, know-how, qualification, and similar things. Potential quality mostly helps in organizational growth and building competencies. Then there is a product quality, influencing product specification and characteristics, and it is oriented to the object. Product quality is relying on usage of already built competencies, knowledge, and infrastructure. It is basically the only quality which could be seen by our customer. And on the end, we have process quality oriented to the actors and people influencing communication, culture, information, values, and behavior. Process quality is the key interconnection in between potential and product quality, and it builds the way how we need to act to produce valuable deliveries. All three quality measures are key features for establishing the stable quality management system. This leads us to the standardized way of establishing such a framework. ISO 9001, known as Quality Management System, is representing that framework as collection of various processes which are focused to the customer requirements in order to reach customer satisfaction. The purpose of quality management system is to ensure every time a process is performed, the same information, methods, skills, and controls are used and applied in the constant manner, in the same way. If there are process issues or opportunities, this is then fed into the quality management system to ensure continuous improvement. This includes the process summarized in ISO 9001, chapters 4 to 10, such as understanding the connection of the whole organization, the role of leadership in establishing quality policy and creating a culture of customer focus, planning, evaluating and providing the resources, managing communication and documentation, designing supply chain, producing, delivering, managing non-conforming product or services, process improvement, performance evaluation, internal audits, and management review. Now we will talk about 7 quality principles which are defined in the quality management system. The first quality principle is that we need to have customer focus. The first principle states that organization must have customers at heart when they design product and services. It also requires companies to ensure that all employees work together towards achieving this goal. Next, very important principle is leadership. And this second principle states that leadership must be provided totally on all levels of an organization. It means that everyone involved with running or managing a company needs to have clear goals and objectives and to be able to communicate efficiently with others. Then we have engagement of people. Another key management principle is people involvement, or more specifically, employee empowerment. This means giving employees ownership over how they are running within their own departments, rather than leaving everything up to the managers. It can be difficult to implement, but if done correctly, it leads to happier workers and higher production levels in overall. Fourth principle of the quality is process approach. And this is a really important one. This principle encourages business to adopt a systematic way of working through all the tasks and projects rather than relying on individual intuitives or intuition. In the fifth quality principle, there is improvement. Continuous improvement means improving on what have been done before. It requires constantly learning from mistakes made previously. In addition, every employee must continuously seek ways to make improvements. Employee needs to know how to take initiative and find solutions to the problems. They have to develop inventive ideas and implement these ideas into action. One of the principle which is really important in the way that you need to have evidences on all kind of levels is evidence-based decision making. Evidence-based decision-making is one of the most significant principles of the business today. It is focused on using evidences from research studies to make decisions about how to run the business effectively. It helps managers to identify what works and what doesn't by analyzing data and information collected through surveys, experiments, observations, and similar observations. In addition, this enables companies to develop strategies based on facts rather than on assumptions. On the last principle, we have one term which is relationship, and not the relationship, any kind of the relationship. It is relationship management, which refers to how business interact with the customers, suppliers, partners, and other stakeholders. It includes managing customer expectation, maintaining positive work relationship, and develop long-term partnership, not only on the one project, but having it for the whole time of your business. A business must develop strong relationships with its key players such as vendors, distributors, also investors, and others. These relationships are enabling the organization to achieve success by providing access to resources, information, and knowledge. Let's zoom into the ISO 9001. ISO 9001 has some key characteristics which are telling us that if you implement the quality management system in the same way in majority of the companies around the world, you will have all management systems with uniform high-level structure. You will easily understand the organization and its entire context. You will increase demand on top management regarding their commitments and participation. You can trigger risk-based thinking, which is very important for running the projects. And in the same way, strengthening of the process approach. Then also you will build a culture to focus more on the benefits and results for the organization and its customer. You will determine and steering the organizational knowledge even more and revise quality management principle as well. On the end, your company will become more flexible in the documentation of the quality management system. All key principles of the quality management system are showing us that by using such a framework, your company is becoming mature and ready for production. After we talked about quality management system and their key principles and the term what is quality, we can now talk about mechanisms of controlling and moving the quality management system. Such a tool is called PDCA. The PDCA, which is abbreviation of Plan, Do, Check, and Act, is an iterative design and management method used in business for the control and continuous improvement of processes and products. It is also known as the dimming cycle, the steward cycle, the control cycle, or plan, do, study, and adjust. Another version of the PDCA cycle is OPDCA. The added O stands for observation, or as some version says, observe the current condition. This emphasis on observation and current condition has currency with the literature on lean manufacturing and the Toyota production system. You can see on the picture that in the heart of the PDCA is leadership, and this is the part of the section 5 of quality management system. Then as the input, you have organization and its context. Of course, there are the customer requirements. And of course, after having such inputs, you need to plan something. You need to plan some growth. Then you have uh, export or output of such a cycle, and those are the results of the QMS system, and they are really oriented to the customer satisfaction. Of course, the results can be product or service or any kind of process, but in this cycle you should do this, the next things. First of all, you need to plan, and then this kind of planning is explained in the section 6 of the quality management system. Then you have do something, do on the basis of your planning, and such a doing is explained in the support and operation of the quality management system in the section 7 and 8. Then you have the check, performance of the evaluation of what you already done. And this could be done through the various metrics. And such a thing is explained in section 9 of the quality management system. In the last phase, which is called act or adjust, you're doing the real improvement. And the improvement of how we can do it and what are the basics of improvement are explained in the section 10 of the quality management system. The quality management system begins in the section 4. If you are interested in zooming in the quality management system, there is a supplement, ISO 9001, which you can use for learning the objectives of the QMS. We now know what is the PDCA cycle, but how we can do the continuous quality improvement with it. You can see, as I already explained, that we have 4 basic phases. First phase, plan, means that you need to establish objectives and processes required to deliver the desired results. Then the phase do means that you need to carry out the objectives from the previous step. During the check phase, the data and results gathered from the do phase are evaluated. That data is compared to the expected outcomes to see any similarities and differences. The testing process is also evaluated to see if there were any changes from the original tests created during the planning phase. If the data is placed in a chart, it makes more sense and it is easier to see any trend of the PDCA cycle, and we can do it in the multiple times. By conducting it multiple times, you will see how you are progressing. This helps us to see what changes will work better than others, and if said changes can be improved as well. The example can be gap analysis of appraisals. The phase act, which is also called adjust, as I said, is where a process is improved. Records from to-do and the check phases help identifying the issues with the process. These issues may include problems, nonconformities, opportunities for improvement, some other issues, the results of outcomes that are evident less than optimal. Root cause of such issues are investigated, found, and eliminated by modifying the process. Risk is re-evaluated all the time. At the end of the action in this phase, the process has better instructions, standards, or goals. Planning for the next cycle can proceed with a better baseline. Work in the next due phase should not create recurrences of the identifying issues. If it does, then the action was not efficient. It means that whatever you improve in the previous cycle cannot be repeated as a mistake in the next cycle. And this picture is demonstrating such a thing, because while you're moving your improvement constantly in some cycles, you will have, of course, the quality improvement in a certain time. And every single PDCA cycle which improve your standard, and you will have the consolidation through the standardization. And basically, this PDCA cycle is moving the quality management system, as I said. This is a very simple example of the PDCA register handling. Here we have one very simple problem, which is telling us that in the company process, problem resolution management or defect management was not clear how to prioritize the defects. This caused the problem in the first delivery because showstoppers were treated in the same way as minor or major defects. The quality department observed such a gap and pulled the dependencies with management process and, of course, with release process. The proposed steps by quality were that process needs to be reviewed if the tailoring of the company process is problematic or if the process itself is missing such steps. Then, if the project-specific tailoring is the problem, the steps related to the prioritization and person who is dealing with it should be added. Afterwards, the added steps must be reviewed together with the whole process. If review is successful, the process will be released and project team members trained how to do it. The process will be then applied on the project and measured. Of course, measured in the way that we need to track the trends while showing how effective the improvements are. Lessons learned will be the steps which will be added to the company process and implemented on all already running projects. And as you can see here, there are some kind of statuses which are explaining how we are initialization, how we are doing the initialization of PDC status, how we are doing the plan, do, check, and adjust. And most of our areas are basically explaining all of the steps. Since you have now the knowledge of the basic postulates of the quality management system and how quality management works, I want from you to take the discussion on the basis of the first lecture and to try to summarize after the discussion in the group, what are the main steps to establish mature quality management system in the medium-sized company? Further, try to discuss the continuous improvement concept and to define some good example gaps, 4 or 5 of them, detected in the software development process or management process by using this template that I gave to you in the supplements. For the gaps defined, try to create some corrective actions and the method for checking the effectiveness. And then on the end, try to explain how the whole cycle will look if we also consider effectiveness check and lessons learned. Please try to use PDCA register template, and there is a supplement, as I said, in the module 1.